Bear.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to Miracles Online podcast. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jeff, and this is
Cat.
Yeah. And today, Kat's going to bring us a topic that I'm not even familiar with because I've never heard of it.
Got to stay on top of these things, sweetie. It's been a while.
Sure has, hasn't it? Well, maybe I start dating again, right?
Oh, excuse me. Did you hear that?
Hard no.
After going on 27 years? Yeah, you have a date with picking up your underwear on the floor.
Wow.
We are going to talk about something, and it's really kind of metaphorically descriptive, and it's called breadcrumbing. So I ran across this and kind of dove deep into it. It's not in the book because I don't think this was coined, as we didn't know much about online dating back in 1998. Is that when I began the book?
Yes.
So we were pioneers in this format.
Yes, I came to her house in a covered wagon.
Yeah, right. But I took over almost 20 years to write it. So, but breadcrumbing kind of took my interest. And, you know, as I speak to a lot of just different age ladies and gentlemen about online dating and their experiences, I have heard this phenomenon, not coined it, but actuality. So what is breadcrumbing? Breadcrumbing is when someone sends you communication intermittently. Often they're flirty messages, just enough to keep your interest, but with no real intention of pursuing any kind of a connection or a real relationship. It is manipulative. It can be a manipulative form of emotionally stringing you along. And who needs that, right? So, you know, again, the term comes kind of obviously from, leaving a trail of crumbs, small signs of interest. So you continue to follow. They're keeping you hooked in, giving you little bits, breadcrumbs, okay, hoping that you're going to want more, and you're hoping for more, but the trail never leads to anything real.
What would be the purpose of doing this?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay. First off, I want to talk about how is it different from ghosting, because we've talked about ghosting before, and ghosting again is a metaphor for, disappearing.
Casper.
Basically, yeah. We're dating ourselves. Casper the Friendly Ghost. Who knows about that? Maybe not many people. Wow. So ghosting is just a complete cutoff. Like it's basically breadcrumbing is more deceptive because they're keeping you, giving you just a little bit. The person doesn't vanish. Instead, they just keep resurfacing just enough to keep your hopes up. Where ghosting, they may start out and wow, you might think you have a connection and then poof, they're gone like a ghost.
Woof.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some signs? Because you don't want to obliterate a potential connection if you jump to conclusions. So what are some signs of breadcrumbing?
Well, let me ask you this question. How long does it take to identify that you're being breadcrumbed?
That's a good question, Jeff. That is a very good question. So inconsistent communication, that's the biggest thing. Let's say you're having a communication, you're texting, etc., and then nothing. And then out of the blue, and that's where they draw you back in. So out of the blue, they come back and then they disappear, and it's a pattern. Okay. It's a pattern of random messages or likes without any real sustained effort.
Could this be considered breadcrumb? Let's say I answer an ad. We passed a couple of emails. I called her. She called me. Then I don't hear anything. I leave a message, and a couple of days later, she calls back. Then I call her again. We have a conversation. Then she disappears again for a few more days until I'm like, well, what's going on?
Okay, that's definitely breadcrumbing. And I want to make it very clear. Okay. You will hear me say this on every episode. In the whole, human condition, the human dynamic, you've got to listen to your inner wisdom, okay? Because things happen. Mm-hmm. Whether you're in potential relationship, or in a business, anything, you don't want to jump to conclusions. Life happens, things happen. And so you don't want to jump to conclusions. The key here Jeff, is looking for a pattern. What is a pattern? A pattern repeats itself. Now, let's say in this scenario that you gave, that after a few days later, she contacted you and, she had a family emergency and had to fly out to go see the family. That's, that's part of what, life dishes out, right? And maybe she was not in a position emotionally, headspace, or physically to get back with you, right? But if this happened, I would say 3 times or more, you've got a pattern. So that's when you want to really, have your eyes open. So what will happen is it'll look something like this. Plans will never materialize. And I have talked to acquaintances who are in the online dating where they talk about plans and then for one thing and another, it never materializes. Again, if it's a one-off, listen to your inner knower, use your intuition, and decide whether, this is real or not. But they may say things like this: we should hang out soon. Okay. So, they're pulling that string out there. Wow. I like where this is going. I like our connection. We should hang out soon. But they never follow up with any plans.
Okay. So it's just dangling that carrot. So, okay, give me a date, and then nothing.
Yep. So it's a hot and cold behavior. Just, as they feel like they're losing you a little, they'll dangle that breadcrumb again to get you back. And we're going to talk in a minute what are the reasons behind that and how you can circumvent that. But, it's like one day they'll be flirting heavily with you. The next day they're cold or distant. I know I've talked to friends that have that. Like, it's so bizarre. They were just really we were really into each other and really connecting and having this flirtatious banter, and then nothing. And you're left wondering, what changed. And the worst thing is that, if you let yourself be too emotionally invested, but they offer no real connection or any clarity, well, then you know what you've got, Jeff?
What do you have?
A digital relationship. And if that's what you want, if you're just looking to sit behind your phone or your computer or your tablet and have a digital relationship, and you can get off on that and you like that, well, only you know that. But if you are looking for a miracle online for that special someone, you might not want to invest too much in that type of behavior when you see that pattern. Because it's not going to go anywhere. Okay.
Well, so this is similar to when you say digital relationship, which we're messaging, we're texting, or social media, but we never meet or get together.
Oh, you're perfect, because that's my next point, Jeff, and that is where it is just digital. If you have just online, and again, I have talked to friends who, I'm like, how's it going? And it's still digital. I'm thinking, they don't really have an intention, because I know you have an intention to actually move forward and get to know this person. I wonder if they have an intention. And that is definitely, if they don't make, a move to have at least a face call, a video call, but, ideally to meet in person, that's a red flag. So that's definitely a red
flag. If I get FaceTime from you a couple of times here, is that considered still breadcrumbing?
Well, it's still digital. And again, is that coupled with, well, we FaceTime and then you didn't hear from me for a week?
That's right.
And we were like so connected.
I'm so into you.
Yeah. So
you're so pretty.
I don't know about the pretty.
Let's go to dinner. Tell me when.
Yeah. But did you go to dinner?
Nothing. I hear crickets.
Then nothing. Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
It's a red flag, like your red shirt.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Definitely. So let's go into, Jeff, what the next section is, the psychology behind breadcrumbing. Because what I want you to take away, if anything, on this is that it's not about you. And do not start to think, what's wrong with me? I did something. Start to put a label on yourself, because it's not about you. Because individuals who exercise in this psychological game of breadcrumbing, number one thing they're trying to do is they're trying to boost their ego. Okay.
Seriously?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Some people breadcrumb simply, Jeff, to feel validated.
Okay, anybody out there doing this, you need to stop. That's not
Please.
nice. That's just not nice.
Please. But, there's a lot of people out there, and God bless them, and let's pray for them, that don't have good self-esteem. They were never validated when they were young. Maybe they weren't validated as young adults. And it's the only thing they know. I'm not saying you're out there to fix them. No, because your number one responsibility is to yourself.
Yes.
And staying healthy, and pursuing a healthy relationship, and a two-way relationship. Excuse me.
Well, how long do I let this go before I decided that enough is enough? This is breadcrumbing 101, right?
Yes. I just want to make a couple more points on the reasons behind it, Jeff.
Go ahead.
So besides ego boosting, another thing is a fear of being alone or rejected. So there's a lot of lonely people out there. And unfortunately, many of them, some of them will hide behind.
How ironic, is that? I want to date. I got people interested in me, but I'm lonely, but I don't want to see you.
I know.
What's that about?
I really think it's more complex than separating those two. I think it's a dimension of having low self-esteem and not knowing how to get out of your loneliness. And so you tip your toe into hiding behind the digital format, but you don't really feel confident enough to put yourself really out there. So again, look at the flags, because again, you're not here to heal other people. Ideally, you want someone whole, and you're whole, and you're coming together, and two wholes are making more than a whole.
That's right.
You don't need to fix anyone. You can just pray for them, and gently and kindly release them.
Yeah.
Emotional maturity is another thing. They just may not be emotionally mature.
I was crowning Prince on that one.
Were you? Why do you say that?
The maturity that I exhibited as a young man when we met. That's what charmed you.
It actually was.
See?
It actually was his maturity. Yes, because I wasn't looking for someone who was, a decade younger than me. I typically dated men who were my age or older, a few years older, but I was very impressed with his emotional maturity. Absolutely.
Yeah, until I threw a fit.
Threw a tantrum, and then
we all do.
And I had to put him in the corner, and it was not pretty. Okay, so another thing to point out is maybe they enjoy the attention, but they aren't mature enough to handle honest, vulnerable relationships. The last thing I will mention is power dynamics, and I think that goes back to ego. I think that's an immature. All these things tie together: fear of being alone, immaturity, not a high maturity level. And the power dynamics is, well, if I can control, I'm in control. Yes. And who needs a relationship like that? Someone
who wants to be controlled.
I guess, but I don't know.
But that wouldn't be a balanced relationship.
That's not a healthy,
exactly.
No, that's not a healthy relationship.
Right.
Absolutely.
But that's another episode.
So breadcrumbing can be about control, as we mentioned, keeping someone emotionally attached without true intimacy. Okay. So let's talk about how does that affect the receiver of breadcrumbing. So, obviously it can emotionally drain you if you're not aware of it, if you're not conscious of it, if you're not consciously looking for those patterns, not to be a skeptic, but to go, okay, that's a red flag. Because we need to do that, whether we're dating online or not dating online. In any relationship, you need to look at red flags. Okay.
You want right at the beginning, especially.
Right at the beginning. So those telltale signs. Okay. Yeah. So it can be draining because you're trying to interpret mixed signals, and that's what they're giving you is mixed signals. And that can be exhausting. Like, well, they showed interest, but I don't know. But the worst thing is that you can start questioning your self-worth. Don't do that. don't do that, because you're coming honest, whole, and forthright, and it's not about you. When someone pulls that kind of a power trip, it's not about you. You might, start thinking, or internalizing, it as a reflection of your value, and it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah.
So, for people with anxious attachment styles, breadcrumbing can activate deep fears of abandonment. I'm going to repeat that. For people with anxious attachment styles, is that you? Breadcrumbing can activate deep fears of abandonment. So, if you've done the reflection and you've done the self work on yourself, because we all come from, childhood, young adulthood traumas that if we don't deal with, they deal with us. Hopefully you've dealt with those, but if you haven't and you're just starting to pull the veil off that, you might want to look at that, self-reflect on that, to say, oh, wait a minute, my dad abandoned us when I was 7. Am I hanging on to these breadcrumbs in a subliminal, subconscious manner to recreate and rewrite the story? You can't rewrite the story. Dad left for whatever reasons. You're better off for it. You're moving forward and growing, and you'll never replace that loss. And certainly you don't want to repeat, and be in a needy fashion. And this goes for men or women. I'm using a woman or female version for that, but that can be either one, right? Just don't let it identify your self-worth or trigger you to, something maybe from the past.
Yeah. Can I say this?
Yes.
Other people's actions does not define you.
Yep.
Always remember that.
Yeah.
It's so huge that we use other people's opinion to judge ourselves. And that's not fair.
And, I just read something, I forget which book it was in my morning readings, but it was about how, I think it was Marcus Aurelius said, how we love ourselves. We say love ourselves. However, so many of us put so much credit to what other people think of us. It's what we think of us, right? Not what other people think or say or, about us. Yeah. So,
but then if you come across saying, well, I don't give, about you, what you think of me, then all of a sudden I'm the a-hole for saying that.
No, but you're not. As I tell our granddaughter, when someone bullies you or says something, you tell them, what you think of me is none of my business.
Yeah.
And that really is, whether you articulate that or not, that should be a mindset that, again, other people's actions don't determine who you are.
That's right.
What your essence is. You hold true in your goodness and your truth. Absolutely. Yeah. So I think you think was, well, how do you respond to breadcrumbing, which we're going to come out and chat about in the next section here. So what would you suggest, Jeff?
Well, first and foremost, you have to, I think, come up with a time frame to say this is enough is enough. So what is enough is enough? For some people, it's 6 days. Some people, it's 6 weeks. Some people, 6 months. Okay. So realistically, if you're actively dating and you're looking for marriage, you're looking for commitment, you're looking for the true love, the one, then you're not there to kind of play the field anymore. You're there to with an intensive, focused agenda to find this mate for you. Now, if you're doing that, then why are you burning up 6 months of breadcrumbing? See, this is why it's different for everyone.
And I think on what you said, time certainly can be a barometer.
Absolutely.
Jeff. But I think as important as time is, because, everybody has different schedules. You might be online communicating with someone who's on a ship, and can't get a connection. I'm giving, bizarre, but there's, different, out of town work, etc. So time, yes, is something to consider. But I think more importantly, or as important, is look at those patterns, those red flag patterns that we called out earlier. And you can say something like, because you should call it out, but you should call it out gently. Okay. And so what would that look like? Excuse me, are you breadcrumbing me? Well, no, not exactly. But how about, hey, I've noticed some inconsistency. Are you really interested in moving this forward? Okay.
I think that's a great question.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's forthright. It's
Sure.
not pushy. It's not, dramatic. It's, hey, I see we're having a real connection here, but I see, I've been noticing some inconsistencies. Not,
Right.
hey, you texted me and then I didn't hear, then you're whining. Whether you're male or female, don't whine.
Yeah.
You're bigger and better than that. Don't whine. Just go, hey, I've noticed some inconsistencies and I'm curious. Are you interested in moving this forward? Yes, I am. Great.
And then, show up.
No, then you can give them, here's my sales 101.
Yeah.
Give them an alternate choice.
Yes.
Great. Would you like to meet for coffee on Tuesday at 10 or for lunch on Friday at noon?
Can I get back to you on that?
No. Give them an alternate choice. Yeah. Now, what does an alternate choice do? It gives them no way out to say yes or no. Don't give them a yes or no.
Yeah.
Great. That sounds great. Me too. I'm so glad. Lunch at noon Friday or coffee on Tuesday at 10. I can do either. Which will work for you?
Yeah. Can I get back to you next week? Yeah.
No.
See, no, you're absolutely right. I really do always believe that if you want to make a definitive move, you need to give that no longer a yes or no choice. It needs to be when choice. Because if this person isn't serious, then you need to know that. And if this person is inconvenient to be in your relationship, then you need to know that too.
And that's an important thing that you bring up, Jeff, because before I dove into online dating, and I did a couple short personal ads like you did back in the day before they had the match.com. But prior to that, it really wasn't on my radar because I knew mentally that I had a very busy career working for, corporate 100 company and was a single mom of 3 children. I knew I didn't have time to invest in a relationship to make it work. It wouldn't have been fair.
Okay, so fully understand that.
So that's something that when you're doing your self-work and self-reflection, make that assessment. Do you have time to give to a relationship?
Yes.
Because I'll tell you, we talked about this on the last episode, and I've re-emphasized it in something I read, that picking the right person to spend the rest of your life with is probably one, if not the most important decision you will make in your life. I mean, think about that.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's one of the most definitive change that we all endure when we join in matrimony with our significant other.
Endured?
Well, I mean, realistically, that this has to be your focus if you really want this so-called relationship, marriage, commitment to blossom. You can't go into it thinking, well, this is kind of like what I saw on TV. No, never. This is kind of
he knows that.
Yeah. And or I have my ways, and if this isn't going to work, then I'm not going to be happy. When you go into an opportunity for a commitment, you need to understand that this is not 50-50. This is sometimes 95-5, sometimes 99-1. It doesn't matter. It's the times that it flips a script when you need someone there for you, you can always count on it. Or do you ever have that? So this is why it's important that if you're experiencing breadcrumb, that you don't sit there and squander a lot of time, squander a lot of chances that, or just even your own efforts.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that brings me to my next point is don't chase breadcrumbs. You deserve a full loaf. Okay. And you have to go in it knowing your self-worth. You really do. So you're worthy of consistent attention and effort, not intermittent. Okay. So don't settle for someone who's halfway in. Protect your heart. If someone isn't showing up, it's okay to emotionally step back. It's okay because you deserve 100%. You absolutely deserve 100%. And you need to balance that energy. If they're inconsistent, you don't need to overcompensate. That's another thing that I see is if they're inconsistent, the other person will try to overcompensate. And that doesn't work either, just to keep the conversation going. Don't do that. Let them reveal themselves. So I love this statement, and that is, well, how do you prevent it and how can you be empowered? And number one way is to know your worth before you log in. Right? And we talked about that, knowing your worth, knowing yourself, when we talked about the segment of how to create the best profile. And you really want to take the steps to know who you are, know what you want, know what you're willing to compromise and not compromise with. Because as Jeff pointed out, a committed relationship is about the yin and the yang and the flow and the compromise and knowing, when to ease up and when to go forth to make a balanced relationship. So, you want to date with clarity, not from desperation. Do not come from desperation, because you're worth more than that. Yeah. You are worth more than that. And
desperation would also cause you to settle.
Yes.
Take the scraps opposed to
the crumbs, to settle for crumbs. Yeah.
And if there's definitely folks that I've met that grew up that way. We're taught that way, and then can't understand why they continuously to have failed relationships, disappointment.
Absolutely. So you want to be early in making it clear what you want in a relationship. And don't be afraid of doing that, because I'll tell you what it does is it weeds out the people who are not right for you. Don't be afraid that, oh, well, I've got to, he or she won't like that. I've got to be this. Be your authentic self, because it's the perfect filter to filtering out the people that are not a symbiotic match for you. So be your authentic self and be clear up front, and use your voice early up front of what you are looking for. And this will avoid any confusion. And it will, again, it's going to filter out the individuals who are just playing, who are just breadcrumbing, who aren't serious. Yeah. So don't play the game. Don't get enticed into playing the game with them, because you're too important. You deserve to have the whole loaf. And you want to believe people, how they show up, right? Sure. There's a saying, sure. When someone shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Right? The first time. So how can you detect that? First off, is do their words match their actions? And we talked earlier about that. Oh, we should really get together, yada, yada, yada. We're just making such a great connection, and then nothing. Well, that's a red flag. Their actions are not matching their words, right? So how authentic are they being? And is that what you want?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in closing thoughts, I just want to share with you that you are not here to collect crumbs. And again, as we said, there could be an exception if you want just a digital connection, and crumbs are okay. You like that flirtatious connection via just digital, then power to you. But you are here on this planet to build a feast and to have it all with someone who brings the whole table for you. You deserve it. So here's the call to action that I'd like to share. I would like to invite listeners out there to share their breadcrumbing stories, or send this episode to a friend who needs it. And remember that dating by divine design means holding out for real love, not almost love. And to further punctuate that, sometimes we've been having a call-in letter and so forth, but today I'd like to share with you a poem that kind of wraps up this episode. In fact, it's going to be found in a booklet, Adjunct to Miracles Online, of poetry. and it's called You Were Never Meant for Crumbs. They left a trail of maybes, of almost and half hearts, just enough to keep you in the dark. But you, radiant soul, were never meant to chase shadows or decipher silence or wonder why you're starving in a space that should feed your spirit. Breadcrumbs are not love, they are echoes of ego. They are served cold by those who fear intimacy but crave control. So when they text, hey, after weeks of absence, don't shrink, don't answer from the wound. You are not a side note. You are not a backup plan. You are the whole story. The banquet, the candlelight, the prayer come true. Remember this, you are not here to collect crumbs. You're here to build a feast with someone who brings the whole table, actually the whole loaf. Warm, consistent, nourishing, real. So hold the line. Don't bend to almost love when divine design has already prepared a love that sees you, chooses you, and stays.
And with that, we thank you for tuning in. Of course, always. Our podcast is trying to make sure that we do our best to make a better world, to help everyone on their relationships, dating, marriage, commitment, topics, issues. Leave us a comment below if you have anything that you liked for us to do a podcast on, as well as if you have a unique story. We'd love to hear from you.
Love to hear.
Absolutely. And don't forget, Miracles Online book is on yayupublishing.com, YAYUpublishing.com. And with that being said, we will see you on the next podcast. And thank you so much. And I love my little bear here.
Bye.